Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank everyone for attending our first workshop for you all. And basically, the workshop is to help you understand how working with the City of Jacksonville. So we will have presenters today, and they will help you understand exactly how we would go about this process. Right now, I'd like to bring up Ms. Tracy Jackson, who is Director of Neighborhood Improvement Services.
Good afternoon, everyone. So glad that you all feel that you think that this workshop is important. Glad that you showed some interest in our first, we want to make it an annual workshop. So a lot of folks may have questions of how do we get through the process of getting jobs through the city or getting work or even getting a building completed through the city. And with this workshop, hopefully we can shed some light on the processes. Just want to make sure that we have some housekeeping, make sure that your cell phones are turned down. We are recording this so that this will be aired on G10 for other contractors that wants to come in and learn all about our process. Our bathrooms are out this door, and just want to do some introductions to for the agenda. So we're going to be bringing up Wanda Wilson. She's going to be our contract specialist. We're going to then bring up Jennifer McClary. She is in planning and inspections. She is the central permitting specialist. Then we're going to be bringing up Christy Basin. She's a project manager with engineering and with the public services department. We also have Danny Bryan. He is our administrator for the inspections and code enforcement. And we also have Mr. Frank Brill. He's the senior zoning code enforcement officer. So hopefully this is going to be a holistic information session so that you all will have a better understanding on how to get through the process with the City of Jacksonville. So just want to welcome you. And now we're going to be bringing up Ms. Wanda Wilson.
Good afternoon, everybody. As she said, I'm the contract specialist for the City of Jacksonville. So if you're dealing with me, that means, hey, good news, you want a bid. So we've had some issues sometimes with our contracting or people knowing exactly what to submit with their bid. And there are documents in here. I've given a whole packet of documents in here that you're welcome to take with you when you go. We'll pick them up at the break, and then we can answer questions. It talks about the minority business enterprise stuff that we need to follow. It talks about the forms that you're supposed to fill out there. It talks about your certificate of insurance and the city's requirements. That seems to be a stickler with a lot of companies of meeting those requirements. So it's better to look at them and know and get your insurance in line with what we require to start with than to, after I've sent you a contract and you sent me back a signed contract, then we're struggling to get your certificate of insurance processed because it has to be approved with correct companies. So there is usually, and when I send out a contract, I will send it with a letter that tells you exactly what I need to finalize your contract. Whatever forms I need that you need to fill out and send back in, what certificate, if I already have your certificate of insurance on file, I won't ask for another one because I already have a current one. If I need, if your project has payment and performance bonds, I'll tell you I need you to get those and get them back to me. And there's a 10-day window that I'm required to give you to get me that contract back so we can process it within the city. And that sometimes is a hard time to get. If we have issues with the certificate of insurance, if we have issues getting the P&P bonds, all of that delays that time for that 10 days. So can you think of anything else that Okay. Again, they're in this packet also. There is stuff of where we post our bids and how to find those. We usually put everything out on BidNet. I will say, if it's a formal bid, I will ask that y'all be very careful about if your bid is in a sealed envelope and then you put it in a FedEx envelope, outside of the FedEx envelope, you need to designate that it is a formal bid and the bid number. Because if it's accidentally opened, because nobody knows what it's for, it could make us start all over the process, cancel the bid opening, and restart it, because we're not allowed to open formal bids without the city clerk. And that's always a concern. Okay?
Ma'am.
All right.
Okay, next, we're going to bring up Ms. Jennifer McClary. She's our permitting specialist. After she speaks, we will have a little short 10-minute break, okay?
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer. I work in the permitting office. If you get to us and you come in, I do have a packet that has our standard building permit in it. It's also got several things that are listed on our websites if you want to do an addition or anything like that, and the different standards that would be required for those. With us, the City of Jacksonville does follow a UDO. So when you come to us, you can talk to our zoning department, you can talk to any of our inspectors or our plans examiner for anything that you would have questions for to fill out. There's also some packets in here from our state board that talks about when you have to have a GC license and when you don't. But if you have any questions, I do have all of this, and I'm available, and Ryan's also available after this.
Right before we have our break, I'd like to introduce Ryan King, who is the director over the planning and permitting, planning, inspection, zoning, that department. That's Mr. Ryan King. You will probably meet him in reference to when you come there to get permits for electrical and all that other stuff. So hopefully the packet will answer your questions. If not, we will allow time for questions and answer, or you can speak to the individuals. Yes, sir.
Who is Ms. Nice King?
That would be I.
What is your role?
I am the administrative assistant. All right. So if y'all want to take a little break, or we can keep going, it's up to you. You want to keep going? Okay. Well, I'd like to bring up Ms. Christy Basin. At the time, she's the project manager here at the City of Jacksonville. You're welcome.
Thank you. And you can just, I'll tell them about the times
Okay.
if they want to get those. All right, good afternoon. I'm Christy Baisden, one of the project managers in the engineering department. Our PE, Miss Amy Kimes, has joined us momentarily, but she's got to step out shortly to go to a meeting. But I did want to let you know that she is in the house. So if you have any questions now, we'll stop long enough where you can ask some questions. Basically, we pick up after the bids are awarded. If you receive a city-based project, after the bid has been awarded to you, then the project management team will work with you, engineering department. You'll go through this process of getting your permits provided by the contractor. You'll have to provide a copy of that to us. Once again, you'll be working with Jennifer on that and her team, and then we'll start a notice to proceed. That notice to proceed is a date that is put on your contract, and it starts that clock of, okay, you're on the clock as when your project needs to be done, certain milestones have to be met. Now, that also is when you can start ordering your material, starting the submittal process to the City of Jacksonville, to our inspectors, to our engineers, to make sure those things that you are going to be installing, infrastructure or whatever, does meet the requirements of the City of Jacksonville. One thing that I would like to point out that is a good piece of information that is on our website is our MSSD. It's very important that when you are doing a city project that you are aware and know where the MSSD are, because if there is an issue or there's something that's not clear on the plans, you'll need to refer to the City of Jacksonville's MSSD. When we have everything as far as the submittal process has been approved, we will hold a pre-construction meeting. At that time, we'll talk about your schedule, how your pay apps are required to come in, that process, meeting frequencies, whether that's monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, and we'll also identify the stakeholders at that point. Lastly, the process schedule of submittals, and schedule of values. We ask for that approval a minimum of 10 days prior to the submission of the first application of payment. But as I said, the schedule of submittals, all of that information has to be approved prior to us actually having the project start. And then the process for closeout, we do have punch list items, and then there's a warranty period for certain project, well, for all projects, but depending upon what the project is, it will depend upon that time. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yes.
What you got?
The MMSD, that's located on your website?
MSSDs, yes.
You said
SSD.
MSST?
D, like dog.
Okay.
Sorry, I have a southern twang. I'm from Sneeds Ferry, and it's very evident.
Yeah, I just wanted to make
Christy,
sure.
what does that mean?
Manual specification. There you go.
Manual specification.
I did put my business card up here that does have my contact information, but you can meet with the engineering department if you come to the front desk. Somebody's always willing to come out and talk to you, discuss with you. My email's there, and if I'm not the right person, I can certainly reach out to you and find out who is. Within our department also, if you are applying, if you're a developer, we do have Mike Moore, which is a construction specialist. He will review plans for the water and sewer extensions, additions. And then we have Will Gainey and Pat Donovan Brandenburg that does the stormwater and sediment and erosion control. And CAMA permitting.
Or CAMA minor, not CAMA major.
CAMA minor. All right, well, that's my little spiel, but thank you guys so much for coming.
So I am a interactive. Everybody's here, and everybody wants to know how to get through this process, and just want to share what pitfalls, what barriers, what things that will stop a project within my department. I get a lot of questions on whether or not you have to be a licensed general contractor, whether or not, and what does that mean, and on and on and on. And we will, of course, send you to the correct department that can answer your questions. But this is an opportunity for you to ask those types of questions, because we have everybody here in the room that can answer your questions. The reason why Miss Debbie came up with this great idea is because we get so many phone calls from you all to say, how do we get through this process? Which documents I need to submit for a bid? Where do I go to find the MSSD? Do I need to find a MSSD? What is the SAM? What is the SAM process? What is that DUNS? What is the DUNS number? How do I get that? All of this is in those bid documents, and you're going to have to answer to each one of those, because if you forget to bring that information with you when you submit your bid, that means that you have a non-responsive bid. We can't take your bid. So I'm going to ask everyone to come up and tell and share the worst situation to where we had to stop a project, we had to back up on a project, we had to regroup. We have some missteps in some of our projects. So I'm going to ask everyone to come back up and share things that these contractors, these developers should know in the beginning, so that they will not have any delays in the project, because any delays means that's money. Time is money, and we don't want you all to lose money on our projects. We want you to have the information up front so that you will know and make a profit, so that you can come back and bid again. We want you to be successful. So if you're not successful, we're not successful. Yes, sir.
So when they come up, or can you answer in general, what amount can you bid on without being a general contractor versus What do you need here?
Okay, so,
But I wanted to hear that.
yes, so I understand it's in the packet, but I want interactive.
That's my guy.
Yeah.
State law requires a GC license if the project's 40,000.
Well, they said that this is,
It'll pick up too.
it'll
but
pick up too.
I'll come up here.
Yes.
State law, contracting law, especially for local governments, it requires a general contractor's license if it's $40,000 and above. Yes,
You're Wanda Wilson.
yes.
If we don't win a contract, could we come in or email you, hey, why did we win? Why did we lose the bid? Was it too high?
Well, usually, I post things for departments. So say if it was one of Ms. Tracy's projects, and I put it out for her, and all the questions have to come to Ms. Tracy or LaShawn or Pamela, they would go to them. So they would be their first point of contact to ask that question. What was I missing, or why didn't I get it? Or most times, they'll give you a bid tab at the end and show that you were either too high, or yes, you were missing some documents.
So you think, so you're saying.
If they say if they ever give you a bid tab that says non-responsive, that means you were missing something in your packet. So that would be the time to call, what did I miss? What did I not send you?
So we will get the email if that's the case, if we did.
Do you normally send all your bidders
Yes.
the bid tab?
Once the bid has been awarded, if it has not been awarded, you will not receive a bid tab. And if you send an email, it's like, hey, what's going on? I will tell you whether it has been awarded or if it hasn't been awarded. Because if it hasn't been awarded by the bid close date, then that means there's something that we're working on internally that we have to get a final response on.
And if it's a formal bid, in the formal range, those have to go to our council for approval before we can award them at all. So if it's, if it's a smaller job, you're more likely to hear from your project manager first.
I have another question. I was trying to give somebody else an opportunity.
You're fine, go ahead.
So if you're not a general contractor and it's a project for $35,000, can you tell me what's required?
That, you're going to get into the permitting realm of things. I'm not going to require you to have a GC license. Your project manager's not going to pull it up to make sure you have a GC license, but the permitting people will tell you what you need, what you do need. Correct? Right?
Correct. It would depend on your scope of work.
Okay,
It just, that's exactly what would depend on what would be required.
gotcha.
There's
Okay.
different things for each scope of work that might be required.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
When it comes to like change orders and things that are unforeseen, like, we find things throughout the process, can you discuss a little bit how that works?
Usually if you come up, they will come to me to process, but they'll come through to me from your project manager, whoever's working with you directly, whether it's Pamela, if you're working with this team.
So we'll contact Pamela.
Yeah, she'll say, hey, I'm tearing out this wall and,
I was gonna say, before you tear out the wall,
yeah.
all right, I will say, Pam, I need you to come out here because there's something that showed up on the project that we did not discuss beforehand.
Or if it's something, I'm supposed to tear out this wall, but I uncovered something else.
Correct.
Like there is some bad electrical wires or something behind, or bad plumbing, I can see that it's going to fail. Something that you see, you don't fix it first, you stop and you call them and say, I need another set of eyes to come look at this and get approval before you, and then there's gonna be paperwork you're gonna have to come up with a price, what you would charge to fix it. They'd have to agree to it. And then they'll do paperwork that we will route for signature before you do the work. Yes. And another thing, and I'm gonna ask everybody, please, if you've talked to anybody in the city and they've told you you've won a job, please don't go start working on it until you have a signed contract in your hand. I love all my project managers, but please don't start working on something, because I've had that happen and we've had to stop work. I have had it where you don't have a signed contract because I don't have a correct certificate of insurance. So you're not insured, we're not protected, and you've put all of us at risk. You're out here working on our job site, and that's a big problem. So please make sure you have a signed contract in your hand and a notice to proceed date and that usually, if you have a signed contract, that notice to proceed date will be in there. And that's something y'all would have talked about and agreed upon, so.
With, going to the notice to proceed and just dates and time and trying to manage projects. If we have, with the contingencies that happen, if you have like, you know, a 90-day or 180-day and the change order happens, does the date reset?
Won't reset, but you can, as part of your change order and negotiation of the change order with price, of going, hey, because I have to do this extra work, it's gonna cost me an extra 10 days. I'm gonna need an extra 10 days. And that, on that change order form, there is, it'll say whether there's 0 time. It's like, oh, it's not gonna cost me, I can do that while I'm doing other things. It's not gonna take any extra time to do this. But if it does, you will put that on that form as well.
I also want to share with the change orders, dealing with federal grants. We have federal requirements that we have to meet. So one of those is lead and asbestos. And so if you can get some kind of education, some kind of training in lead and asbestos to be able to recognize when you come across, because we're going to put in all of our bids whether or not the structure was tested for lead and asbestos. And if we have a report that says, hey, we have no lead and asbestos in it, and then you come across, you need to be able to recognize so that you can stop work and notify us, because that is a federal requirement that we have to remove that. So don't just keep working.
And there are steps to do that correctly.
Yeah, and speaking of that, like even with the ground testing and things like that, that's required. After that, is that's going to be noted in your actual bid packet?
Yes.
Okay.
But even though you have a test in there and results in there, if you come across something that we have not identified in those reports, you all need to be able to identify that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ms. Christie, you got anything before we do a break?
Hold on, you have a
Wait a
question?
minute, we got more.
Yeah, I had a question. Let's just say you are a non-licensed general contractor, and you at the threshold, you got your bid at, say, $38,000. Then you run across a problem that requires a change order. It's $10,000 worth of work. How do you handle that, or do you guys have to bring in a licensed GC at that point?
That's a good question.
You would have to, if you
I
go
was
over
about to say that is a,
you would have to get a licensed GC, and if you are ever at like a $38,000 bid, our plans examiner will probably ask you for a cost breakdown, trying to see if he foresees that you would go over that threshold.
That's the same criteria. If you're a limited licensed GC and you get a project that you're close and then you go over, you can't finish it. You've got to get an unlimited license, so the
Right.
same protocol falls here.
yeah.
Oh, why not? So following up on what the gentleman said here with the testing and all of that, we're not required to go out and do additional tests, correct? It's just if we happen to discover. Right. I just want to make sure, thank you.
That is correct.
Anything else for me?
Now, also, I just want to share, in my former life, was a contract administrator on base. We start out with a bid that was a small amount of bid. They used to have this picture on the wall that says, original bid, it was a small little fishing boat. Then they had a picture of a yacht that says change order. We don't do that. We do not do that. So make sure that your estimator is on point so that we can get a true fair bid.
And I'm going to
Okay?
tell you, if we get to a point that we have a bid that we think was informal, and every bid in there comes like within $50,000 of a formal price, because I don't know that we've ever had very many that didn't have a change order, we will probably stop, not award those, not take it to, we'll have them reject all those bids and put it back out as a formal to protect everybody, so.
So with the change orders, it is not just up to the project manager and to our internal estimator. It's also up to finance. Finance will also tell us, Tracy, you can't just do a change order on this. This is going beyond this threshold, and now we're going to have to take this piece out to bid.
Either that, or it was not something that was even thought about in a bid. We've had a project where it was building something from the ground up, and they gave me a several $100,000 change order to add something that was not even it was not even an alternate to the bid. So we had to refuse it and say, no, you can't do it. If you want that work done, you're going to have to bid that section out. If your contractor gets it, wonderful, but it may be a different contractor who's going to do that section. So.
Now, before we go to our break, I just want to encourage you all, take advantage of this networking session. Know who's in the room, because y'all need subs and contractors need, and subs need contractors. So take advantage and find out who's in the room, what do they do, and hand out your cards, your information, so that you all can collaborate.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break. We'll be back about 1:40, and we can continue the session. All right, once again, thank you all for attending our first workshop of many. What I'm going to do the second half, I'm going to have Miss Christy Basin come up and talk about one of her worst or not so pleasant experiences. Then we'll have Jennifer come back up, and then we'll have Danny, and then we'll have Frank. Okay? Miss Christy?
So I really don't want to talk about one project in particular, per se. Some of the challenges that we do see when we are doing projects, obviously, are change orders, especially working downtown. You find things that are in the ground that you didn't know was there, unexpected. We've had fuel tanks. We've had, when we were doing a playground for Miss Tracy, we come across something that we didn't know was there. So those type things are, they're frustrating and unforeseen circumstances, and we have to all work together. One of the other things that I like to talk about is grant. When we do projects with grant, the importance of not only the project management and department that is doing it understands the grant, but as well as the contractor, because if the contractor is not aware of those requirements, you can cause us to lose that funding if something's not done correctly. If it's supposed to be Buy American, and you buy everything Buy American, but then you buy one piece of equipment that come from China, that entire funding of the project is gone. And we have to get that money back. So it's very important that when you are awarded a bid, that you understand the importance of whatever funding requirements, the stakeholders, and how important communication is with your project manager, and letting them know any unforeseen issues or any concerns that you have. That's my biggest spiel on project management. Y'all have any questions for me?
Okay,
All right, thank you.
Jennifer?
Okay. I don't really have one scenario, but a lot of things that we see that are issues if you're building a new house is just calling for your inspections. We do require a foundation survey after your slab is poured before you can go vertical. That is something that's missed. They'll call and say, I want framing or sheathing, and wait a second, you can't be vertical yet. You haven't had your foundation survey. I don't guess a lot of municipalities do require that, but that is something that always holds people on that. Another one is sidewalks. That seems to be a thing. The city requires sidewalks on new build homes. In some cases, you can pay in lieu of not to install the sidewalks. Those are the main things that we see coming in on these projects, or just deviating from your plans and not doing revisions, and then it's called after it's already done, or getting your setback inspections for additions. That seems to be the main thing, is just deviating from your plans.
I want to add one.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, as mentioned, I'm Ryan King. I'm The department also deals with floodplain regulations. So it's not something that we have a lot of times in Jacksonville because, but we do have a river. But the new flood maps are getting ready to probably go into effect sometime this year. So whereas a house on, say, Court Street today isn't in a flood zone, the next couple of months it's going to be in a flood zone potentially. So if you have to go out and get an elevation certificate or you have to elevate stuff, it really can throw a curveball. So if you see water or you're near water, just make sure you can come down to the office, call us. You can check on the webpage, it's called fris.nc.gov, so fris.nc.gov, to check to see what the current flood map is versus what it's going to. So that's just another pitfall, I think, that can really cause somebody to have a curveball thrown at them if they didn't think about that beforehand. So, just something I thought I'd add. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Danny?
Good afternoon. I'm Danny. Danny Brown. I'm the supervisor for the inspectors. So we're the ones that actually go out in the field and does all of the inspections for these permits that are issued. You've already heard that the process for getting permits, as far as getting all of that taken care of prior to the inspection process, okay, that's what puts us into the on the site to do that particular inspection. A lot of times we will look back at the application. The building inspectors do not go out randomly. They go out based upon a schedule that is given to us from permitting. Permitting will send that to us, and then we'll inspect whatever's called for at that particular day. So that all of us understand that what we're looking for is adherence to what the building permit calls for. We're looking for drawings. We're looking for information regarding to, does it meet code? We're looking at, is it done? Okay, that's the other problem we run into a lot of times is it's called for an inspection. You've got to cancel that inspection. And then we do have fees that are attached to that because of it not being ready. So we don't want to assess any kind of fees to anybody if they don't need to, but you are responsible for your job site. What we see a lot of times is the absence of someone there to oversee the project. We have construction going on, we have laborers that's there doing the work, and maybe lack of supervision is what the problem is a lot of times. And we go to that site and it's not finished, and we have to turn it down and move on. So my concern is a lot of times is changing things on the site that is specifically to Tracy's, the point in this meeting that we're having today is changing things on the site or not following the process that they put in place. So that you know the building official does not know all of the stuff that's going on within that contract. That contract is not, it's important, but it's not important to us until we have a question. When we get a question, we go back and look it up. You should have these things on the job site. You should have a contract with you. You should have your drawings with you, any kind of actions you have to do as far as foundation design, any engineering document. All of those things need to be in a permit box. You need to have that on the site so that we can reference that without bothering you. You can go and do your business and we can look at that and get done with the inspection process. We do not schedule the inspections. We do not have anything to do with that. We do fail them. We do go to them based on the time that is set aside for us. Those that may not have worked with the city before, we have cell numbers. We don't necessarily want you calling us every 5 minutes, but we would recommend that you call us so far as that is concerned on a question. Like, I need to delay this. I'm in charge of delays. I'm in charge of you deciding that you can't get done right now and you want that inspector to come back. We can do that. But it has to go through a chain of people to make that happen. In other words, calling the inspector up and say, I need you to come back in 2 or 3 hours, that's sometimes okay, but in this particular application, a lot of times it's, can I do it this afternoon versus the time it's set. Our inspectors have a whole day already scheduled. So it's just like yours. We need to stay within that guideline as much as possible. We are under the 2018 North Carolina State Building Codes. Residential, I don't know if there's anybody in here going commercial. Mostly what your contracts are going to be for is in the residential side, is that correct?
Mostly, but you may have some commercials.
Maybe some commercial in it. Well, if you're familiar with our legislative body right this minute, they've confused everything. So what we have is a problem with our code cycle. Our code cycle is actually 2024, but that has been delayed and do not know when that's going to happen. So you're under the 2018 code now for a long time. With that going on, we've even bought the books being prepared because we don't know what's going to happen. So with that, we have two electrical codes that we deal with. One is residential and one is commercial, technically, for anybody that's licensed in that particular area. General contractors, as far as that is concerned, you need to be responsible for your people that's on the job site. If you're a non-licensed contractor, you need to do the same thing. But the difference is that $40,000 mark, and it was a good thing that they brought it up whenever you have additional work, which that most likely will happen in every permit process. There's going to be some things that got to be changed. People want you to add on a room. Well, while you're here, can you do this? Just keep in mind that $40,000, if you're at $40,000, you're at the general contracting range. It has to be less than that. So, take care of your permit process, take care of your quotes and stuff like that, like you're supposed to. What we deal with, building code inspections, we ensure the construction, I'm going to read this, we ensure construction projects comply with the local regulations and that they aim to protect the public and the safety of the public. The inspections are mandatory from all construction projects. This is not something we created here at the City of Jacksonville. It's state law, and it's mandated through a general contract or general statutes. Inspectors verify adherence to zoning regulations, building codes, and approved plans. We don't do so much of the zoning part of it, but we're familiar with it. Let's say that. And the approved plans is the big ticket item. I want you to have those on the job site. Please have those on the site so when we get into an argument, our inspector has to come back and do your homework. That's usually what we get into, and that's been my concern a lot of times is go ahead and doing work after it's been told that we had a discussion. You have the right to give us let's say this, you have the right to call us and set up a consultation for your location. I would recommend that on anybody that has a permit that's been issued. If it's the first time you've worked for the city or any time, and you want to discuss an item as far as that is concerned, set up a consultation. We'll get it scheduled through permitting. You'll have an inspector go out and you can go over that application and see what you need to do and try to make it work smoother for you. And anytime you need me to be there, I can certainly come. So the process is after we get to the site, we have to make decisions at some point, and recently we've made some decisions so far as it being an expensive turn down, let's say it that way. We turned down some slabs here recently, and they had to tear those slabs completely up. This is a whole house slab, brand new construction, and that's not the best part of my life, I can tell you, but I can tell you that that is expensive. We know how expensive it is. And we have to go through a chain to try to figure out, do we need to have that done? You cannot call for an engineer anymore to go over there and look at that project and bless it. That's just not going to happen. Okay, you can get components, so don't let me get out of sight on that. As far as, let's say the footing itself, for those that are contractors, the footings itself can be looked at. You can determine certain things in it with an engineer as a component, a part of that. It does not meet maybe the set of drawings. But to come out and look at a slab that's already poured, the wire, the plastic, the dirt, all of that's already done, and he's just going to say, we bless it, that's just not going to happen. Okay, now that was mandated through the state. The state told us that that no longer was acceptable. That's not something the city made up. So with that going on, we need for you to be sure that we're on site. You need somebody to oversee that step. Because if you're doing slabs and footings, you know, there's steel involved, you know that we're in a high wind zone, you know that we have to go through certain procedures and look at that. The soil conditions, if it doesn't have the grass removed, if the footing itself has stumps in it, if you can go through that and you can take a rod and push down inside of that footing and it goes more than 1.5 inches, you just will go ahead and get a foundation looked at as far as that's concerned for soil compaction, to be sure it's okay to pour concrete on it. So those things are parts of what we see when we're in the inspection field. We've had some problems with some of the contractors going ahead and working even after we have said, don't do that. And they pour concrete. Now we're going to ask you to tear it up. We're going to ask you to look at it. So we advise you to try to follow the procedures and have like I said, the drawings on the site. So I don't know if y'all know about the city inspectors or not, or any inspectors as far as the state is concerned. All of our inspectors are certified, and we can consider a law enforcement official that carries a pen. We don't get to carry a gun, fortunately. So with that going on, we can carry a pen, which has some authority. All right, don't necessarily like to use that authority, but when we do, we have the right to do a stop work order. We have a right to have an injunction put up against the property. We have a right to take you to court. We go through all of that same process that a regular law enforcement officer that does carry a gun, that's who we would call, to do that particular application. So what we would suggest is work with us. We don't like to do those things. A stop work order is a general statute, regulated document that'll get you in trouble. Okay, when that's issued to you and you disobey that, I guess is the term. When you do that, then it's something that we get a magistrate involved and we can stop the process. We have hearings. We go through the process on reconstruction of homes, demolition of homes, those kind of things. We go through those. We have hearings. City council can take action on those hearings, or we can get legal counsel. So far as that is concerned. How many general contractors do we have here that's licensed today? It's quite a few. All right, so you know that there's several occupancies that we deal with. Our commercial, most of residential, commercial, by any chance? A little of everything. Your classic license is what controls whether or not you can go to do certain particular projects. You know, there's an assembly, there's business, there's educational, there's factory, there's high hazard, there's institutional, mercantile, and residential. Residential has got groups. You know, there's a commercial side, multifamily versus the 1 and 2 family. Our General Assembly is also changing that. So anybody that's used to the term 1 and 2 family and duplexes, you can just write those off. 1 and 2 family will be here forever, or a single family will be here forever. But the multi-quadplex is what it's going to become. It's going to go from a duplex to a quadplex. So the rules are going to change. We think that probably about 2030. So high hazard, institutional, mercantile, residential, storage, and utility. The utility is a miscellaneous, it's accessory structures. We get into problems with accessory structures too. Accessory structures, we've had a long-going debate about those. Just for information, the residential code addresses 12 by 12 and under does not need a building permit. It does need a zoning permit, so you don't get around the permit process. In the commercial realm, that same 12 by 12 in the commercial part does require a building permit. So there's certain standards that you go by that are different in the commercial versus the residential. That's the reason I was asking about your license. And that becomes an accessory permit. And I think permitting has already talked about it, the application, the scheduling, the corrections that's got to be made on the applications, and then the final closeout. As far as that is concerned, and when we're talking about final closeout, we're talking about your finals on all of your inspection process. I think for contractors, you realize that you got a permit, you've got a rough end, You've got, somewhere along the line, you got in between that rough end and a final. All right, so if you got a new house, it's easier to discuss than it is a renovation. A new house, you know, you got your foundation and foundation survey, which was brought up. That's new to the city to a degree. Been several years old now, but that's a pretty good way to keep you out of trouble. Because if the zoning officer looks at it and he comes up with the idea that it's okay, problem is it may not be. All right, so I think that's good for you to have the survey. It's a good liability insurance on your part. So the application and the scheduling is not done by us. You're calling in the permitting office. They do a great job. They keep us on task. And then the final closeout, which is your finals. You get your rough ends done, then you call us. Do not put your insulation up. Don't put your drywall up. And on the change outs and stuff like that, or the renovations, because we got to see those. If you take, for instance, a house, let's do this. We had a hurricane, in 2019, and during the process of all of that, it tore all the drywall out of the house, okay, to reconstruct it, and we got ready to put it back together. They put all the drywall and insulation back in. So we have to see all those things, even in a reconstruction, even one like that. So that's not a good idea for you to have to take all that drywall back out. So that's our bad jobs, okay? I can tell you that would be some of the things that we do not like. We're human at times. So with that, the purpose for building inspectors, the purpose of us, this is on our webpage. If you haven't looked at the webpage, take a look at it. Landon's done a great job with the webpage. It's got a lot of information on it as far as the city is concerned, and permitting and zoning. And it says the purpose of having these minimum standards, excuse me, I should have brought some water, my mouth's dry. The purpose of having these minimum standards are to ensure the public's health, the general welfare, through structural strength, stability, sanitation, adequate light and ventilation, safety to life and property and from fire, hurricane, and other hazards attributed to the built environment. Inspections to ensure the minimum standards are met typically occur during alterations, repair, removal, demolition, use, occupancy of the buildings and structures or premises. There are certain jobs that need a certificate of occupancy versus those that need a certificate of completion. Those are terms that you need to know about. A certificate of completion would be a single standing permit process, like an electrical permit for a building that you're working on. That's going to have a completion, a certificate of completion, not a certificate of occupancy. An occupancy permit is whenever you're changing the use of the building or the space. As far as that's concerned, from what it was originally, and then it falls under those that I've already mentioned. Do you all have any questions?
I got one question.
All right.
As far as being on site as a GC or PM, now did that, as a GC, do I need to be on site the whole time or only when you come inspect?
When we inspect, you need to be there.
Right, but
Okay.
any other times, just, you know.
General contract, you're talking about under a licensed general contractor? Or
Right.
any contractor typically should be on the site, but we know how the standards are for superintendents. We know, you got lead people that take care of stuff. Yeah, those people can be on the site, but you got to have somebody that's supervisor that oversees everything. When we're there, we have a language barrier here occasionally, okay? And if you've got somebody on the site that cannot speak English, I am not bilingual, okay? So I might need some assistance. There's no point in sending us out there to do something and we cannot communicate. So that would be my suggestion at that point, is to have somebody on the site that knows what's going on. General contractor needs to have somebody that is in charge. We've discussed this issue just a little bit as far as a GC license. A GC licensed person is the person that's in charge of that project. You can have it under a different name. I worked for I was electrical contractor for years, and I worked for a company that did mechanical work, plumbing work, and electrical work, and I was over the electrical part, but they used my license but it was not my company. But I was held accountable because I was the qualifier. So anybody that's a qualifier, by the state standards, is the person they're going to go after, not the superintendent. So keep that in mind. What we're looking for is somebody that knows what to do as far as that job is concerned. We talk to the state. We don't get in confrontations over this. If you go ahead and do the work and we suspect that there's something going on, we'll turn it over to the state. We probably won't even contact you. We just call the state boards and let them know what's going on, let them act on it. They may not get to you that week, that month, but it will get to you to discuss it at some point. So I'd suggest you do that, because our goal is not to confront you and get into something that is outside of our area. We stay with the building codes, not the general contracting rules and regulations. But we are familiar with it. I've been around a while, so I got a little bit of history, and I carry that with me. Any other questions?
Got an open-world question for you.
Go ahead.
If you're building a building that is going to house animals and it's under 2,500 square feet, you do not have to have a permit to build that, right?
Yeah, you got that permit.
Sure.
Under 2,500 square feet?
Under 2,500 square feet.
You're thinking of
Let's say 1,000.
You're thinking of maybe some design work, but not a contractor, and not a permit process.
No, I'm thinking about building something like that, and I was looking through the code book, and it said as long as it was under a certain square feet, that you didn't have to get a permit to build it if it was gonna house animals.
You're talking about farm
Yes.
application. Yeah, if you're in Onslow County, we're in Onslow County now, but you're in Jacksonville's jurisdiction. We're not in the farm business. Okay, so that would be, let's say you were in Onslow County, somewhere in the rural section of that. That's where I live, everybody. But with that going on, I can obtain I can build a shelter for farm animals, yes, without a permit in certain cases. But there's other things you have to be concerned about. Flood, those kind of things, you're going to have to go through the gauntlet as far as that's concerned. You don't want to build it in a flood area.
The question that I wanted to ask you, if
Okay.
you build a building like that, and let's just say you wanted to put power to it,
Okay.
could you still do that without having to go through the proper channels to get a permit?
In Onslow County, you can, but not in the City of Jacksonville, no, sir.
Okay, so as long as you're in the county.
Yeah. And if you go to Newbern, or if you go to Greenville, or to any other city, you're going to run into the same problem. They have boundaries. And in that jurisdiction, that city boundary, you stay outside of that, then you need to be talking to the other jurisdictions. You need to be discussing that with them to find out what that is, because they have certain standards and rules that they have to go by. Yeah, hog houses, turkey houses, that kind of stuff, they're built all the time. Used to be, not anymore, but they used to be built all the time. With that going on, and there are certain things you didn't have to have permits for. It's kind of hard not to have a permit for electrical. Not if you want to burn bulbs and stuff like that in your building. So anyway, that's kind of the things. You would have to have permits for water. You'd have to have permits for your electrical that goes to the building, and those kind of things. It depends on whether or not you put bathrooms in it or those kind of things where you got to have a safety system. All right. I was in the hog business, so I know all about that. As far as that is concerned, we had to have the EPA involved. We had to have the Corps of Engineers involved. We had to have all of that stuff because it did flush out, and I had to have electrical. Okay, those kind of things I had to take care of as far as the permit is concerned. But yeah, there are certain standards.
Can I suggest? I would suggest, I'm more on the conservative side of the house. I don't want to do anything there I mess up. So I would always recommend this: before you install something, get a permit. Before you buy it, get a permit. So that way you know that you're not going to run into a problem. So similar to the building, I would talk to the jurisdiction having authority and say, this is what you want to do. Do I need a permit? Because I think it sounds like you may be talking like a bona fide farm situation, which as Danny stated, that's not necessarily applicable in the city limits. It may be in the county. So I would just say if you've got kind of an oddity like that, the best thing to do is talk to whoever has jurisdiction and make sure that you don't end up thinking that you're okay, only to find out that you don't. The example he gave a minute ago with the commercial accessory building, well, I built a 10 by 10 accessory building, I don't need a permit. That is false in Jacksonville. A permit is required. Building permit is required because it's commercial, and regardless, a zoning permit is required. The state has created things where if you're a licensed electrician, you don't have to pull an electrical permit to change out a light fixture in the parking lot. But we have zoning rules that regulate lighting, so you are not exempt from a zoning permit. So that's why I always tell people, because it may be okay, you know, the building code, that may be that you're okay there, but you could have an issue over here with zoning. You want to make sure that you're okay from both folks, so that way you don't end up with a problem. Or you don't do work for somebody, you're done with the job, then the city sends a notice of violation to that landowner, and then the landowner is like, well, I hired contractor XYZ, and they said they knew what they were doing, because then that doesn't make the contractor look very good. And we, as Danny said, we don't want to make anybody tear anything up. We also don't want to find ourselves where we're sending a notice of violation that then causes the contractor to look like they may not have known what they were doing. So I always say, look, call and ask. It doesn't cost anything other than a little bit of your time to call and say, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to do it, do I need a permit from? And the other thing you got to be careful about is you may ask one person, and they may say, no, you don't need a permit for that, but there could be other standards down here, so you kind of got to vet that out to make sure that you don't miss something.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, in regards to permits, I know like some permits require additional steps. Like we have a driveway that requires a right-of-way permit. And we ran into an issue where it was a tree on the state side of the yard. Is it, with you, do you have any package how to let us know if we had to do anything with the people that handle the trees? I forgot what it's called.
I know if you're talking about specifically a DOT roadway, if it's a tree in the DOT right away, they have standards, so you would have to work through them as well.
Yeah.
If you got to get a driveway permit for DOT, they send it to us to sign off on, so if it's in the city jurisdiction. The city also, it's a great question, the city also has a driveway permit requirement.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, like.
We have one of those as well, so before you do any work in the right of way, you should come see somebody at City Hall and make sure you have a permit, that you've posted a bond, things of that nature. I don't know that you'll find that in the packet that we've given today, but it's a good question, and we do have standards. And I mean, the driveway that you put back has to meet the details per the MSSD, as Christy mentioned. That detail you can find on that webpage.
Yes, sir.
And if you'll see me after we get finished, we'll look at what you're asking. And
Okay.
we'll answer your question. Okay, we'll find out what you're talking about.
All right.
I haven't looked at the package yet, but how successful is the online permitting process?
How accessible?
Yeah, is it,
Ours isn't online yet.
Okay.
it's not online?
Not yet. We are moving that direction, but right now, like,
We're under new software.
Gotcha.
Are we happy? No, we're
All
not.
right, thank you. That's good information.
we'll learn together.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, right now you can still access, they can still use an Avalon or the Click-to-Gov to be able to review permit approvals and disapprovals.
Right.
You can still get access to that information. You just can't schedule, I don't think, or anything like that.
Thank you.
Mr. Green, you had a question right here.
I had one question. Could you talk about sidewalks that Ms. Jennifer was talking about for new construction?
I can, depends on what you're asking.
Like a new home, when it would be required, probably.
Better get back up there.
Then you want me to bail you out on that one?
You want Ryan to bail you? Yeah, he's going
Yeah, I can tell you, you have to have them, and it's got to meet certain specifications. All right?
So city council, long ago, they want sidewalks on both sides of the street. We're a municipality, we're an urban setting. So if you trigger a site plan, which a new home build would trigger a site plan, there's going to be a requirement that you install for residential 4-foot wide sidewalks and a sidewalk through the driveway. Now, there's some instances where you may be on a street that doesn't have any sidewalks up and down that roadway. City council can require the sidewalks, but they can't make you pay in lieu of. But what city council did decide was on certain streets, that you can opt to pay in lieu of installing the sidewalks. That way you don't have a house built with a sidewalk in front of it and there's no sidewalks down either side. But you have to opt into that. And we have a fee schedule that's adopted by council every July as part of the budget process. It goes into effect on July 1. And a 4-foot sidewalk, I believe, is $23 a linear foot. Now, you all may be able to do it for $10 a linear foot. So council's given a 50% reduction for that 4-foot or 5-foot sidewalk. So you'd pay $11.50, I believe it is, for a 4-foot sidewalk in lieu of. If you build that driveway per the detail and you have it inspected before you pour that the driveway to make sure that we made sure the forms of that driveway were correct. Let's say you have a 50-foot wide lot, you got a 20-foot driveway, we would reduce that fee in lieu of by that 20 feet since you have a sidewalk through the driveway. So then you would only be paying on 30 feet of sidewalk if you choose to opt into that. But if you're building any commercial development or any brand new house, you are going to have to put sidewalks in some shape, form, or fashion, and one of which maybe you could opt to pay in. Does that answer the question you had on that? It does. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brill? Thank you for coming.
Well, good afternoon. My name's Frank Burrell. I'm the zoning code enforcement officer with the city. I kind of have a dual hat mission with the city. I think from the crowd we got here, it looks like mainly it's more or less zoning enforcement when it comes to commercial businesses and residential construction. But from a municipal code, which is about this thick, this is just a small version of it. What I do for the city when it comes to that is we enforce city statutes, city codes, municipal codes that are enforceable through the ordinance, which are public nuisance laws, junk vehicles, high grass, weed, trash debris, pools that are going to relate to some of you if you put pools in on properties in terms of safety, setbacks. But that doesn't, most of this stuff in the municipal code doesn't really apply to you guys. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the zoning enforcement side of it in the process that I have to go through to get you guys approved for your residential or commercial projects you're working on. Like what Ryan and Danny said, they were just pretty much emphasizing a lot on sidewalks. I'm the guy that signs off on the sidewalks, but I'm not responsible for the standard of the sidewalk in terms of its, you know, how it's constructed and whatnot. When I go out for the sidewalk for the final inspection, whether it's commercial or zoning, commercial or residential, I got to make sure that that sidewalk's in, it's the proper width, it's associated with a driveway that goes through the driveway. I got to ensure that the curbs are properly in, and I got to make sure that that those sidewalks are free of cracks and any kind of damage to them. Now, what happens is a lot of contractors, they'll put a sidewalk in probably too soon, and they'll put a sidewalk in, and then they got a lot of construction going back and forth over that sidewalk, and it puts cracks in it. We go out there for that final inspection at the 11th hour, and they got cracks in the sidewalks. And they got to dig up that section and put a new one in. At the 11th hour, it's holding somebody up. So got to be real careful on those sidewalks, and that goes for commercial property too, especially at the 11th hour when a commercial business is trying to open up for a business at a certain time that afternoon, and we go out there that morning because you've asked us to come out to do a final inspection. They got sidewalks that are damaged. So the sidewalks can cause some heartache for the contractor. So just keep that in mind. But when it comes to the commercial properties and residential properties, I'm doing everything on the outside of the house. For residential, it's driveways and sidewalks and addressing, setbacks for anything that's an accessory structure. Not the house. We don't do the setbacks for the actual house per se, but we do anything for the accessory structures such as decks and sheds and things of that nature. Also with residential and with zoning, we run into a lot of problems at the end when somebody decides to put a fence in, the contractor's putting a fence in for that residence, and the fence exceeds the height that the zoning ordinance requires. We only allow 6 feet high. Doesn't have to have a permit, but it can't exceed 6 feet. We run into a lot of properties at the 11th hour where they got an 8-foot fence out there. They just it was the last final step that they put in at the house, and they got an 8-foot fence. It's got to come down, or it's got to be constructed where it's only 6 feet. So keep in mind on that too with fences. We deal with a lot of parking lots for, if you're doing commercial businesses, if you're doing anything commercial, we deal with everything on the outside of the commercial property, parking lots, stop signs, accessory structures also, like a dumpster pad and a dumpster. We do setbacks for those. So if you're doing commercial property, make sure you call in for a setback inspection before anything else, because that could throw off everything else if the dumpster is in a wrong location. It can throw everything else off in the parking lot, and we have to take setback measurements for that to make sure it's in the right spot. A lot of folks, they go out there and they'll have half the place built before they even call us out there for any kind of inspections, and we find out that the dumpster pad may be in the wrong place, or it's the wrong size or whatever. So make sure you take a look at those dumpster issues whenever you're doing anything commercial. When it comes also with residential and commercial, we enforce all the landscaping on the property. And believe it or not, in new residential homes, you're supposed to have some proper land. There's landscaping that has to be applied to that residence, and commercial also. And that's everything from the shrubs to the trees, to curbing, to sodding, to mulch. All that has to get inspected. Now, usually when a project is underway and I get a site plan for it, the first thing I do is I go out to the site and I speak to the contractor right away, their superintendent, whoever's in charge of the project, general contractor, whoever's in charge, and I get his information. I give him my information, and I always give him a heads up before they even start. This past week, I was out to 4 sites already. 4 sites, and I spoke to contractors, general contractors out there, and I talked to them about some standards of our UDO, the zoning ordinance, the Unified Development Ordinance / zoning ordinance, and I went over some standards with them from the zoning standpoint. They didn't have no idea what I was talking about, and it's almost that way with every site I go out there, and it could be something as simple as on the sidewalks where we have the ADA standard for our truncated domes. There's a certain color for that, and it's gray. Sometimes they call us out there at the last minute to do a site inspection or a site inspection for a certificate of occupancy, and we go out there and we find out that they got yellow or black, and that's not our standard. Our standards are gray. So that's just one specific point that they seem to always aren't familiar with. They're not familiar with our regulations for our dumpsters. It has to be primarily the same color and the same material as the primary building. Some of them don't understand that. Sidewalks with, those sidewalks have to be free of cracks and any kind of deterioration or damage before they get that final certificate of occupation. But I always give them my card, and I'm always available for them. So whenever a contractor out there, throughout that process, they're out there, I'm available at any time. They have my cell phone number, and you can call me out there. Call me out any time. Just make sure you have your site plan with you, because if I'm out in the field and I got to make a detour, I'm going by your place, and I come by and see you, and I don't have a site plan with me because I have to come in back to City Hall and get it. The one that I have already marked up and ready to go for your final inspections. if I go out there and you don't have the site plan, there's nothing more, there's not a whole lot I can do for you. And make sure your site plans are, make sure they're stamped with the city stamp too. And the building inspectors and the fire marshals are going to ask you for the same thing. If during the process of your construction, you call them out there, they're going to ask for the same thing before they even go any further. So make sure you have your plans with you on site. That's important. When it comes to, let me see where we're at, what I wanted to talk to you about. Commercial, try to use me as much as you can throughout the whole process. I have no problem going out there and answering questions for you or showing you something on the property that needs to be addressed, because you don't want to have to wait till the 11th hour. And that's for residential too. If you want to close on that house, if that house is going to close and somebody's moving in that weekend, or for commercial purposes, somebody's going to open up a business at 4 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, and they got everybody in the business out there ready to cut tape, and then all of a sudden we're behind the 8 ball on it. You guys can prevent that by using the building inspector, myself, and the fire marshal too. That's probably who we could probably use out here next time we have one too, is the fire marshal, because the fire marshal will be a very important factor in any of your construction out there, residential and commercial. So I didn't want to get into the code enforcement side of it, because that's not what this is about in terms of how we enforce our code. We enforce zoning ordinance, but it's not in the sense of what we're here for today. We enforce both ordinances through notices of violation, courtesy notices, and fines and things of that nature. But that's not what what the audience is here for today. Any questions? No? Okay, Demi. Thank you.
Everybody's getting quiet. This is an opportunity for me to come back before you and introduce my department and my city staff members. So want to give kudos to Debbie Jefferson. She is the glue that holds us together. She coordinates a lot for us, not only our department, but she's also administrative support for IT and for some planning and inspections support, so with code enforcement and all of that. So I want you all to give her a hand. Also, we have LaShawn Harston. She is newest part of our team, and she comes with us, onto us with a strong background in our rehab and all of that. So come on up, LaShawn, and give her a hand. So somebody may be working with her. And we have our senior coordinator, Ms. Pamela Trafton. She is working in a new role as far as our career path, and one of our emerging leaders here with the city. So she's going to be, like me, a jack of all trades. She's going to learn and know a thing about everything that we do within our neighborhood improvement services department. So give Pam a hand. We especially like to thank the planning and permitting group, Ryan King. He is the director. We cannot do what we do without that department. So we want to thank Ryan for coming. Also, we want to thank Danny and Frank for showing up. And of course, Jennifer, she's our coordinator as the go-between between both of the departments. So we want to give her a hand. Also, we want to especially, because she's our gatekeeper. You can't get anything done without Wanda in finance. So she is our gatekeeper. And also, we have the support for public services and engineering. Of course, Christy, she will go out and help us when it comes to Davis-Bacon and all of that, and our federal regulations that we have to make sure that we answer those. So we want to give those folks a hand. Did I miss anyone? I don't think I
Mr.
missed
Massey
anything.
left.
Of course, we had Terrell Blackman, he's Assistant City Manager. He was here earlier. And also we had Mr. Massey, who's our Deputy City Manager. Again, my name is Tracy Jackson. I'm the Director of Neighborhood Improvement Services. We do many activities. And I wanted to also leave you with this. Do you all know that you have to have a demolition permit to tear down stuff? Okay. How many people have worked with the city before? By a show of hands. Okay. So that is, for the new people, welcome. We want to have you as a partner. We want to welcome you and come in and help us to move the city forward. We're always looking for opportunities and activities with our demolition program, with our residential rehab program, with our infill construction program, and also we fund those commercial projects, which are multifamily projects with our developers. So we have a hand in a lot of construction, and for us, that's project delivery, and we like to spend our HUD dollars doing that and investing in our community. So thank you so much for coming and for being a part of this. We want to be a partner with you. I know Ryan, his door is always open, and mine as well. I know my staff, they will always want to assist you. Debbie came up with this idea because she gets a lot of phone calls with a lot of questions. So hopefully this is our first, but hopefully this won't be the last time that we come and we offer this. So with that, we want to make sure that you all sign the roster. And again, with the opportunity, I want everybody to see who's in the room. So with the gentleman in the back, let us know your name and your company.
I'm Curtis Gilbert with the General Contractors of Carolina, Wilmington.
All right.
I'm Ray Gilbert. I'm the Compliance and Operations Officer for General Contractors of Carolina.
I'm Mikhail Mutesh from MKM Hauling. I own a dump truck.
All right.
Steve Gill, Regular Services. Corey Bridge, owner operator of Bridge Contract.
Morris Dillahunt Jr., owner of NGD Construction and Maintenance, LLC.
In the back.
Avery Washington, Continental Ground.
Yes, sir.
Robbie McMillan, Crown Construction, Greenville.
Michael Kyle, Center Fire Improvements, Oslo, Jacksonville.
My name is Edward Dowdy. I own a local dump truck hauling business, Dowdy's Hauling. We specialize in excavation work. We own dozers, we do mulching, 24-hour towing, just about everything.
Henry Burwell, BBB&D Enterprises, from concept to completion.
Tory Wynn with WB Construction, General Contractor.
I'm the odd one out. I'm Lenise Patton, Executive Director of Philippians Place. We work with men coming out of reentry in prison, and we're going to be building a dorm holding 21 men in the facility, so I wanted to see what we're getting into.
Yes, please.
Jonathan Barnes with Delphi Construction in Jacksonville.
All right. Bobby Hatcham, owner operator of Bobby B Trucking.
Ronnie Fields, commercial and residential contractor with Fields Construction Company.
Lloyd Morgan, GC, General Contractor of Carolina.
Brian Holden, I'm the operations manager for Red Rock.
I'm sorry.
Aaron's with me.
Yeah, I'm Aaron, I'm with Red Rock Construction.
My name is Chris Sims. I handle systems, documentation, and intake with General Contractors of the Carolinas.
So, do we have any pressing, burning last minute questions before we end this?
Of course.
All right.
Got some keychains up there.
So,
We're talking about the sidewalk, new construction. What about renovation?
Great question. If you trigger a site plan, then sidewalks come into play. So if you do anything that triggers the site plan, sidewalks are required. So you could have a residential accessory building we got somebody that wants to build a 5-car garage. It's 2,900 square feet. That's going to trigger a site plan. Sidewalks are now going to be triggered with that accessory building. So.
Thank you. I hope I helped you out.
but also did not know whether or not you know to go to the city website and register with the BedNet program. Because if you do a lot of things, you will be able to let other people who are looking for work and the people who are looking at putting bids out there, that you're not only just a demolition person, you're also a residential person. So I encourage you all to go get registered with BidNet because the county also utilizes BidNet. So I strongly, strongly encourage you to go out there and let the world know what you do. And this is how you will get notifications for those jobs, those government jobs that's out there. Okay?
Just one more thing, you did mention about making sure that you sign in. If you have not signed in on the roster, please ensure that you sign in because we will be sending out an email with our information to everyone that attended this meeting, okay? So just to make sure that you stay in the loop, and we'll also add you to our contractor bidder list so that when we send out information about bid projects that we have coming up, you will receive that email as well so that you know what bids that we have coming up with our particular department, okay? So we don't want you to miss out on any opportunities.
And just want to recognize the room. We have our Assistant City Manager, Mr. Terrell Blackman. We were just finishing up. Okay. So with that, no other remarks? I think Debbie, she might want to close us out.
Well, I thank y'all so much for signing up and for attending. I hope this answers some or all of your questions. So we will receive any feedback that you have that we can improve this, make it bigger, however you want to do it. But I do appreciate you all attending. It made me feel good. Thank you. So y'all have a good day. Thank you and be safe.